So you make a beautiful pair of shoes, or maybe boots. You send it to your customer, he wears them, he fits, he likes them, but after 1 week he returns them because the soles have come undone.
Unnecessary problem. I don't understand. My anger can squeeze bed sheets.
So who do we blame for this your predicament? The gum, the sole material, or maybe everyone should just start doing Goodyear welted construction? How about hardener? Do they really work? All of this we will discuss in today's edition of Gums, Glues, and Sole Bonding. Welcome to Pomo Bespoke. A wise man once said, I tighten my belt before I ask for help. The lazy workman always blames his tools. So before you go and start complaining about the gums, the soles, and every other thing else, ensure that you have set up yourself for the best possible outcomes. Setting up yourself starts with roughening up all the parts that you are going to apply your gum to. You do this, of course, with a coarse grit sandpaper, what we call rough sandpaper. If you don't have a bench grinder like I do, you see the machine that I'm using to grind away is called a bench grinder. If you don't have it, you could do it with a rasp. I'll show you what a rasp looks like as we proceed in the video. So you will grind both the underside of the shoe and the sole material itself, the rubber sole material. It will be the same thing if you were using leather. These parts on rubber soles are typically difficult to reach, and you probably would have to do that manually using again the rough or coarse grit sandpaper. Now let's talk about the gum, the glue, the adhesive itself that you're using. You have to ensure that whatever glue you're using, it has to be in tip-top condition, meaning they typically are solvent based and you don't want air getting into them and congealing them and degrading their quality. You want to ensure that throughout the period that you would have them to use, they are in tip-top condition. A trick that I have found that works for me if I'm storing them in PET bottles is to put some oil around the thread of the cap of the PET bottle, and that way the air pockets that are created as a result of gum sticking to that area will be completely eliminated, and you would have your glue last for you much more longer. So you keep your gum in tip-top condition. The third thing you must ensure is there is typically a void around the insole, right, where the upper doesn't get to on the insole. What happens is that if that void is left and you couple the shoe that way, it creates an air pocket, which as the wearer keeps walking, puts pressure on the sole, and ultimately the sole will give way. So you have to cover up that air pocket. And I must tell you, for many shoes that are imported from China and all the factory made shoes, they typically do not cover them adequately. So I use a foam. Now this thing that I'm using to roughen up my foam, my EVA foam, is what I mentioned to you as a rasp. So that one there also is a rasp. So I'm using my rasp to roughen up the foam material and use that foam to cover up that void. That way you would have an airtight seal around your sole. So it is extremely important, if you want your soles to be durable, that you cover up this void, whether it is from a shoe that you made yourself or it is a shoe that you're refurbishing. So you see that I apply glue to both surfaces, the surface of the insole and the surface of the foam material that I'm using. Apply glue to them, give it about 5 to 8 minutes to dry, and then I'll cover up that void, and then we'll proceed to the next step. Now let's talk about hardeners. Do hardeners really work? Some shoemakers that I know swear by them. The vendors who sell them in the market sing their praises. I have never used them. This is going to be my first time, so I'm going to find out. What has been your experience with hardeners? Let me know in the comments. But I went ahead and bought just some hardener myself, and I will use it as they have indicated that they be used, just to experiment and find out if the hardeners will make any marked difference in this particular sole and shoe that I'm refurbishing. So they say you just add about a drop to the quantity of glue that you intend to use, mix it properly, and then apply it to both surfaces. So I'm applying it to the sole right now, after which I will apply to the underside of the shoe itself. They also mentioned that you should heat it for a while to activate it. You let it dry to the touch, which usually takes about 5 to 8 minutes for all of the solvents to evaporate. Then after it is dry to the touch, you should heat it on the fire, or they didn't mention fire, they basically said heat it. So that is where I am suspicious that many of us get it wrong by heating it over open flames. I heated mine over an open flame. I'm not sure whether that is adequate or whether that is what you should do. So in the next episode of gums, glues, and sole bonding, I'll invite the experts to talk to us about heating over open flames, whether it has an impact on the durability of our soles. But in the meantime, I'm going ahead to cover up that void. I would also use my rasp to, roughen up the surface of the back surface of the EVA, so that when I apply glue to it and glue it onto the sole, everything will have some grit and some grip, and we are, basically setting up ourselves for much more success. So that's roughened. I'll go ahead and quickly do this, and we will get back to applying some glue to this surface and testing out to see if this works out properly. So, as per our instructions on how to use hardeners, you roughen both surfaces, you apply the glue, you leave it to dry to the touch, which will take, like I said, about 5 to 8 minutes, and then we will heat. So that's what we're doing now. The heat is on. Are you ready? So like I mentioned to you earlier on, I heated my both surfaces on over an open flame for about 2 minutes, and then I coupled. The bond that I got appeared fairly strong enough, but this is a shoe that the child who owns it intends to use for sports, playing football. So I don't think I was confident enough with just leaving the gum. I don't want the boy kicking the ball and then the sole of his shoe flies off and hits someone. So I did the next best thing, which is stitching it. Some of you find it difficult to stitch the front part of your shoes. All that you need is a long stitching awl that you can carve into an S shape like this, and you are good to go. So all you need to do is use a sharp awl and create a pilot hole, and then use your long awl, insert it so that it goes all the way. Because of the way it is curved, as you insert it into the shoe, it curves outward, doesn't puncture your upper, and comes out around the opening of the shoe so that you can easily hook on your thread and stitch without having to bend your shoe in any way. Ladies and gentlemen, I have tried this even in brand new shoes that I made, and they came out looking excellent. So let me demonstrate that again. Make a pilot hole, bend your awl to like a 2 or an S shape, insert it, and it bends inwards and comes out around the opening of the shoe. So without bending your shoe, you can actually have that pulled out and you can stitch on. Having stitched this sole to the shoe, I am now confident that this child can play as much football as he likes, and this sole will stand the test of time. This is the only way that I know to guarantee sole bonding. But of course, like I mentioned, I will invite the experts to talk to us about what adhesives to use, what we can do to adhesives to make them even more durable. So, ladies and gentlemen, use the hardeners, experiment in whatever way you can. Let me know what your experiences are. I hope you learned something. Until I see you on the next video, God bless you. Look up to the live video where we discuss with the experts on how to use our glues and gums to ensure maximum success of the bonding of our soles. I'll see you guys next time. God bless you. Peace.